Alright, as per usual, let's check on some of the people that we brought on the last mission. This will be a good excuse to talk to Ractor for the first time in a little while, actually. I mean, Gaichu, sorry. The cabin is in a far better state than it was previously. The heat has been adjusted down and the ventilation restored. The boxes of junk and parts have been stacked and neatly arranged, and Gaichu's small amount of personal gear is tucked away in a corner. There is a small mat in the center of the cabin that looks like it doubles as both a rug and a sleeping pad. I don't see that mat. I guess they didn't want to animate it. It's kind of over in the corner with the bed, which looks like an actual bed. Oh well. Gaichu is seated in the lotus position. No, he's not. Eyes closed, his fingertips rest on a braille reader that is plugged into his PDA. The device fills the room with a soft clicking from the pin combinations. As you approach, he lifts his hands from the reader's surface. Hello again, handyman. Is there something I can assist you with? Looks like you've carved out a nice little spot over here. If you say so. I doubt it will be suitable for others, but I do not require much by way of space, and have few possessions. So long as I have a quiet area in which I can sit and relax, I am happy. Now, was it with you want to discuss? What were you reading? Gaichu draws himself up, folding his palms in his lap. With one toe, he pushes the braille reader away. It's called Hagakure, Hidden Leaves, written by Yamamoto Tsunemotomo. It is a treatise on what it means to be a samurai, and how one should best serve one's lord. Reading required for the Red Samurai, unsurprisingly. Looking for a hidden meaning? I haven't memorized, but sometimes I have found that reading its words reveals new meanings, yes. I may have left my old life behind, but old habits are the hardest to shake. The author has a central thesis. When there is a question of life or death, always choose death. Throw oneself into the fray with no resignations, and act on instinct alone. My current state of affairs speaks the truth of this more robustly than any lesson in a dojo. What's the book about? The rest of the book. Gaichu ticks off the points by unfurling successive fingers. It is partly a manual for proper behavior towards one's lord, partly a rumination on the mindset required to be vicious in combat, and partly a collection of stories. Tsunetomo believed that to truly embody the virtues of a samurai, adherents should be mindful of their path at all times. Never stop training, always question how one's actions reflect on their lord. Above all, be prepared to do your duty instinctively at any time, no matter what the cost. Gaichu's involvement in this game and his cultural references almost make me wonder if the next game's going to be like Shadowrun Tokyo or something like that. But oh wait, did they already announce they're making something that's not Shadowrun? I think the developer might have actually said they're moving on to something else, or I'm mixing them up with another. I might be mixing them up with another mid-tier developer that does Kickstarters and stuff like that to fund their projects. It might be the people that make Divine Divinity or something. Anyway. That sounds like a dangerous path to walk. I am certain it is. But what choice do I have? Without a cure for my condition, all that I am able to do is embrace the reality of what I have become. It does not seem like much of a choice to me. And what does he say about masterless samurai like you? 7 times down, 8 times up. Gaichu smiles thinly, wrapping a claw on the hilt of his sword. More specifically, if a samurai has not been a ronin at least 7 times, then he has not truly lived as a samurai. Those were different times, however. It was common for a samurai to fall out of favor with their lord and be turned loose to wander. For company men like myself, the choice is serve or die. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? Any thoughts on the last run? I confess, the purpose of our little adventure to Wuzing Sky Tower eludes me. While in Japan, we have a notion of onmyodo, a method of controlling ki. It relies on ritual and incantation to banish unruly spirits. Feng Shui, on the other hand, seems like more akin to extremely fussy interior decorating. The very idea that tipping over a potted plant or moving the orientation of a desk could have effects on the corporation's stock prices is insane. Yet as we were working, I could see the flow of magic change. Perhaps this manner of luck manipulation is unique to China. It certainly would not work in Osaka. Is there anything else you'd like I can do for you? I want to know more about what it's like to be a, let's see. We were talking about your father bailing you out of jail. Ah yes, I do recall you asking about that. Gaichu's reticence is palpable, and the long silence that follows, he does not continue. Is something the matter? No, Gaichu purses his lips and sighs heavily. No. Everything is fine. I will tell you what you wish to know. I simply have not spoken of my family in a long time. Bad memories? No, quite good ones actually. I haven't seen Yasuhiro in many years, but this is my fault. We may not have seen eye to eye when I was young, but we came to an understanding, eventually. Yasuhiro, or is it Jiro? I don't know if it's pronounced like an H or not in this case, gave me an ultimatum after my run-in with Shiawase security. He told me that he had to cut a backroom deal with the rival of Shiawase to keep me out of prison. The charges would be suspended if I finished high school and studied at Kyoto University with the intent of joining Renraku. If I did not, Shiawase would take me into custody, and I would spend time in prison. What did it cost him? I have no idea. He refused to reveal what he had been forced to do in exchange, but I cannot imagine it was cheap. Insider information? Perhaps. A deliberately botched contract? Yasuhiro was a manager in the Water and Power Division, so the deal would have been lucrative but not secret. I have always taken my family for granted. Raised in the Renraku family, going to Renraku schools, I always had a sense of place, of belonging where I was. The thought of it all, of that vanishing, I simply could not imagine it. Suddenly, the reality of my actions became clear. Gaichu runs his finger over his bald scalp, smiling distantly. From then on, I tried to be the son he wanted, and he seemed glad for it. We grew closer over the next few years. He took time off to visit me when I was living in Kyoto. Why would that be unusual? He was a very busy man in those days. A lot of responsibility and a very little time to himself. I was impressed he could carve off as much time as he did, just to go camping with his son. A lot of nice wilderness in that part of Japan, I bet. Very much so. The land around Kyoto is protected from development due to historical and cultural significance. Most of the mountains are considered sacred, so the Diet declared them a national preserve. We made several trips to the area between Kyoto and Nara, around the village of Ide. We camped in the mountains above it. We would hunt wild deer and boar there, using my family's antique arquebus. It's a strange choice of weapon. It is a choice of expediency. It is nearly impossible for a private citizen to own a firearm in Japan, which is why you may so often read of Yakuza attacks involving swords and cleavers. As the Tanegashima that my family owns is from the 18th century, it is exempt from ordinary regulations. Gaichu chuckles softly to himself. Perhaps ironically, hunting with my father is how I learned to prepare raw meat. Strange to think that this inadvertently prepared me for my current state of affairs. So how do you prepare it? Soak the meat in brined water, simmer at a low heat for several hours, let it cool, and repeat the process over several days. It cannot get too hot or I'm unable to eat it. This process brings out the collagen in the meat. When it is done, I spice it with ginger and sancho pepper. Again, not too much. Mundane food is anathema to me. Sighing heavily, Gaichu stares off into the distance, and he looks back. He smiled broadly at you. Those were good days. I am sorry I cannot go back to those times, but when one joins the Red Samurai, one must give up all attachments to one's previous life. The company, the code, and the unit become the entirety of your world. That's an incredible amount of focus. It is. That is why the selection process is so rigorous. Why so many fail. There is no shame in failing. Simply being allowed to participate in the task is a mark of excellence. Applicants must be human, Japanese, and utterly devoted to Renraku. Your unit becomes your family. Your commander is your father and mother, your teammates, your siblings. Red Samurai are not allowed to reveal our identities and position to anyone outside the Special Operations Group. Even if we wanted friends outside the unit, we could not have them. So how did you end up joining the Renraku military? Fair question, given my youthful indiscretions. Gaichu leans back, his blind eyes turned towards the ceiling. Are you familiar with Kempeiate? No, what's that? The Kempeiate are the political arm of the Japanese military. Much like the commissars of the Soviet Union, they are responsible for enforcing political and social orthodoxy. This is not just within the army, mind you. They also enforce certain laws in regards to the general populace. When I was enrolled at Kyoto University, I studied global security and political science. It is the major generally used as a gateway to private security postings with both government and corporate militaries. I knew I wanted to fight. I was a young man, and my blood was always up. One of the requirements was the students join the Youth Brigade Kempeiate. The Youth Brigade is a bit of an ROTC in North America, the Young Falcons in So Nation, or the District Officer Program in the Republic of Korea. Members learn to be soldiers without actually joining an army. They perform community service and promote civic pride. Performance and prestige in the Kempeiate are used to dictate their later job opportunities, a bit like a good internship. Seemed like the kind of thing the Renraku would look favorably upon. When I was in school, the megacorporations looked favorably on Youth Brigade service. At the time, the interests of the Emperor and the corporations were aligned. A grand drive to return Japanese industry to the forefront of the world economy. Good marks for your Youth Brigade commander were a good sign that you would be offered a good position with corporate security, and I wanted to be the best. These days, megacorporations have begun to resist that kind of nationalism in favor of corporate pride. Youth Brigade services is becoming a black mark rather than a positive. Gaichu shifts, resting his elbows on his knees as he leans forward. I do not know if the alternative is any better, though. When I was nearing graduation, I was approached by a recruiter with Renraku Security. She told me I came from a good family and could have a promising career with the company. She offered to fast-track my application towards a potential Red Samurai position. 3 years with the Renraku military as a junior officer, and guaranteed placement in the Red Samurai training built of my choosing. The pay was good, and the excitement of being an elite was an attractive proposition. I accepted, but I did not truly understand what I signed up for. As I told before, they force you to give up everything except the company and unit. That was made clear to me, but I did not truly understand it. Did you regret your decision? On a whole, no. I do not know who I would have been had I not joined. Perhaps these are things that I miss, but regret is perpetual. One is always tempted to ask what if, but this is a trap. Gaichu wraps his 2 knuckles on his breastplate. This is who I became. The armor was my protection and my identity. The training was extremely difficult, but both mentally and physically. I knew that I would be isolated from my old life, but I did not anticipate the full extent of my isolation. All Red Samurai recruits report to a facility called the Forge in Chiba. You are assigned a unit, you and 4 other recruits, and for the next 2 years, the Forge will be your home and prison. Shaking his head wistfully, Gaichu snorts. It seems ridiculous in retrospect. We were all so young. None of us had any idea what we were doing except trying to become the best soldiers in the world, and yet those strangers became my new family in the absence of the old. It makes sense that he's kind of just adapted and gotten used to being a ghoul if he's already had to become a Red Samurai and go through this whole process where he basically had to give up everything and just accept a new state of being that he was just going to be from that point on. So the ghoul is just kind of doing that again. So he's had practice in some ways. Tell me about the members of your unit. Gaichu wrinkles his nose as if smelling something foul. That chapter of my life is over and done with. And they are no longer a part of my world. Why would you care about that? If they're still hunting you, I need to know about them. He stares at you for a long, silent moment. Finally, he grunts. Very well. That is a fair point. Gaichu looks down at his hands, picking something out from beneath one claw. He continues to look at his hands while he speaks. While I was younger, I would have more readily cut off my fingers and tell you what you ask. You must understand that secrecy is absolute among the Red Samurai. Your identity becomes secret, erased from any database that might connect you to the Red Samurai. You only use your code name when in the field, and your given name is known only to your commanders in your unit. Even other Red Samurai units have no idea who you really are. Finally, looking up from his hands, Gaichu leans back against the boxes. Contact with the outside world is cut off completely. Even once training is over, your communications are restricted. Maintaining relationships outside of those you work with is frowned upon. It's a lot of stress. What if a recruit can't take it? Very few recruits get to this point if they cannot handle it. We all underwent stringent psychological tests prior to this point. If a recruit cannot handle it, he and the rest of his unit are failed out of the program. The rationale is simple. If one member cannot take the training, and his unit cannot carry him through, they all have failed. Ishida was our commander. He came from a rich family in Saitama. The kind of family where he was given every advantage possible, with the exception that he would keep the family name prestigious. He was older than the rest of us, and he'd already spent 6 years in the army. Very severe man, rarely given to humor. Takagawa was usually the second in command. As our designated marksman, he tended to have a better tactical view of how an operation should be run, simply because he needed to study the terrain more. He loved to get us laughing. Without him, I think I would have gone crazy in the first few months. Our mage's name was Sasaki. She had been in training as a Miko, an apprentice priestess, when her magic began to manifest. She was in the unit for a challenge, and for the money. Her family had always been poor, and they had always told her that she would never amount to anything. I think she had joined the Red Samurai just to prove them that she could do anything she wanted. My kind of attitude, I admit. Gaichu cocks his head, amused. I am unsurprised to hear it. You and Sasaki share similar attitudes. Neither of you stops to consider if your goals are attainable. You simply know they are. Our heavy gunner's name was Aomori. He kept the team honest with itself. He never had a disparaging word for anyone, but would not hesitate to call someone out for their behavior. Sasaki loved that about him. Really, she loved all of him. The two were discreet, but discretion only goes so far in such a small team. Still, we respected their privacy when possible. Is that kind of thing allowed? If the unit commander allows it, yes. We are given incredibly wide leeway in what to allow or forbid in our unit. The belief being that results were the only thing that mattered, and if the unit failed, it would fail as a whole. Sasaki and Aomori were crazy about each other, and it would have done more harm to keep them apart. Lastly, there was me. I was the close quarters and breaching expert, the first man at the door when we cleared a room. I was the perfectionist on the team. Aomori could get us to do anything, but I was the one who made certain we did it well, with style. How do you mean? If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing well. If that thing is your duty, it is worth doing perfectly. Many times we would perform a drill or exercise well enough, but that was not good enough if I had to trust my life to it. That was why we became one of the best teams in the organization's history. That's a thing to be proud of. Of course it is. Do you think I do not know that? I apologize. It is just that those feelings are still raw sometimes. Even if I were to be cured, I could never go back. They have been disgraced, and I have done unforgivable things. I have been cast out for good. Are you sure? Maybe it's not as final as you think. Gaichu closes his eyes, sighing through his nose. When they ambushed me in Fukuoka, it was fight or die. I killed 2 of them before I escaped. I will not be returning to that unit no matter what. Which one did he kill? I wonder which ones he killed then. He doesn't really specify. He opens his eyes for a moment, shoulder something. It's not an easy memory to grapple with. That's fine, Gaichu. Take your time. Thank you, handyman. I am sorry I cannot talk about it now. I need to process the emotions. They're still raw. I am tired. Come back later. We can talk more. I need to rest my voice anyway. He is a very verbose party member, that's for sure. Maybe take back what I said earlier about the idea of a Japanese Shadowrun game. Japan, I guess you could only do it if you were outsiders like you are in this Chinese game, I guess. Because people probably want to customize their characters, and in Japan, you can't use guns, and you can't have guns in Japan, and you can't be non-human in Japan, basically. So that gets rid of a lot of the versatility of how the combat works and how the cultures work in this game, so it'd probably not be the most exciting location to set a game, actually. Isabel? Annie, man, you're back. She doesn't bother turning. Need something? Any thoughts on the last run? You know, the Wuxing Rung is kind of thing you'd never see outside of China. Nobody's gonna hire you to run around tilting paintings and breaking through potted plants in Stockholm or Florence. Here, though, that stuff has real power. I've seen it work. A few subtle shifts in geomancy can make or break projects, people, even companies. I don't have any idea how it works, but I've seen too many people's fortunes shift as soon as a feng shui master gets involved. I'm not sure how much it can affect the fortunes of a company as big as Wuxing, but even a small shift is good enough to cost a company like that millions of new yen. Anything else you want to know? I have a question about the walled city. That JK apparently. No new details there. Hey Gobbet, haven't talked in a while. You have another weird story for me to judge you for? Gobbet looks up from her hot plate at the sound of your approach. A smile creases her face. She raises her eyebrows and gestures to the cabin around you. You know, the bullet hole really has been shaping up over the last few days. With all the work you've been putting into her, you're starting to feel like a real home. Anyway, enough about the boat. She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness scurrying. Ready for your next lesson, or you just want to chat? Any thoughts on the last run? It always surprises me how much corporations will pay to screw up a competitor's feng shui. Hell, they'll even take each other to court over architecture that blocks ki. It's a real impact, though. A little shift here or there might not seem like much, but even fractions of a penny lost in their stock is valued as millions. Gobbet shrugs, pursing her lips. I could see us change the flow of the ki in that building, but I still have no idea how to make that work for me. You need a real specialist for that, like a Taoist priest or something. Based on what I could see, though, I think Wuxing's fortunes will wane for at least the time being. They'll fix what we broke eventually, but until then, there may be a rash of stubbed toes. So what else you want to talk about? Is it too late to change the name of the boat? Afraid so, Seattle. Everyone's gotten pretty attached to it. We all like the boat hole just as fine as she is. Besides, I've already painted her name on the side of the hull. Alright, just checking. Good. Now that we got that out of the way, is there anything else you need? I'm ready for my next lesson. Yeah, he smiles. That's good. I was hoping you'd want to keep going with this. It's good for you. I'm kind of enjoying it too. Gobbet runs a hand through the knotted ropes of her hair, a contemplative look on her face. A moment later, she turns her attention back to you. Alright. This is going to be another long story, so I'm thinking we should take it in chunks. If you got any questions, you can ask them along the way. And if you need a break, we can come back to it. Sound good? However you want to do this is fine by me. Good. So last time, I told you about the event that brought to an end my illustrious career as a subcontractor. This time, I'm going to tell you about a run that I went on with my regular team. Nightjar's team, you mean? No. This was long before I hooked up with them. Iz was still learning to deck back then. She was good for her age, but she wasn't ready for prime time. And I'd be a couple of years off before I'd meet Nightjar and Auntie Cheng. You don't know anyone from that group I'm talking about. They're all gone now anyway. You've had a rough career, haven't you? Yeah, I guess that I have. But I'm still alive. That's something. Puts me ahead of a lot of other runners I've already known. The truth of the matter is, as runners, dying on the job's an occupational hazard. We're disposable assets. It shouldn't come as any surprise when we get used up and tossed away. It's a little grim. Shadowrunners get killed all the time. There's no sense moping about it. How'd you meet this group of yours? Through mutual friends. We usually all live together when we decide to start running as a team. I mean, we actually all lived together before we started running as a team. There was this floating squatters commune out in Hung Hom Bay. It's probably still there, actually, just haven't gone back in a long time. But I spent a few years living on that thing, and the rest of the team lived there with me. You lived on what? A raft? Yeah, basically. She called it the sinking ship. It wasn't much to look at, just a whole bunch of shipping containers all bolted together in a great big floating brick. Wasn't the most comfortable place I'd ever been, but the price was right and the company was good. You can just take a break right here, like 2 pages into the doc. Okay. Tell me about the team you're running with. Sure. She extends a hand so that she can count off the teammates with her fingers. Madness scurries down her sleeve and perches on her forearm. Our muscle was a Hawaiian Jew with a poor impulse control. Big round guy with lumberjack arms and ringlets in his hair. He called himself Honu. I guess they loved turtles? I don't know. Street names are weird. We had a tech specialist, Egret. He was tall, gawky, dyed her hair bone white. She had a drone named Arlo and it followed her around like a lost puppy. He was a kind of jack of all trades, but she could get the job done. Fun at parties, too. Our de facto team leader was a guy named Sui. He was a wiry troll, if you can imagine that. Probably about 2% body fat, all skin and bones. Walked with a hunch that made himself look smaller. He was a shaman, followed rat like me. There can't be that many troll rat shamans out there. Now that I've met, Basui seemed like a really good guy, so we got along fine. I actually really liked everyone on the team. They were a lot of fun to run with. Alright, I've got a grasp on the team dynamic. Let's keep going. Alright, moving on. So one day, Sui brought us a job. He'd met a client in Victoria Harbor Bar, a rich Eastern Tiger executive. The guy wanted us to steal something for him, a shiny object. She raised her hands. I know, it's stupid, right? But that's how the Johnson described to us, the shiny object. That's what he wants to get. Never gave us any other name. Seriously, a rat shaman hired to steal a shiny object. Yeah, you can see how the gig would be hard for us to resist. Anyway, the client told us what to look for. He described it as a chunk of red jade about the size of the shape of an ostrich egg, with a mirror-polished surface and gold wire inlays. He said it'd have proper charms hanging off it, food talismans, Taoist sorcery stuff. We weren't supposed to touch those. The client also told us the shiny object's then owner, an old hedge wizard turned entrepreneur named Kong Shuyan. Hedge wizard? He had a whole wide old sage thing going on. He had the robes, little hat, kindly smile, oh, and the pièce de résistance, a long, wispy beard. He was mean as a snake, though, had a rep to prove it. Intel said the old man Shuyan was keeping a shiny object in one of the warehouses. He had a bunch of them. He'd built himself a nice little empire selling magical paraphernalia through the puppet vendors of Yao Matai night market. Supposedly, a good fifth of the stalls in that place were on Shuyan's payroll. Magical objects, huh? You got my attention. Well, some of it was magic. A lot of it was in the warehouse was crap, though. Fakes and forgeries sold to gullible tourists. Still, there was some nice stuff on display. Magical regions and all that. But sifting the good from the bad would have taken time, and we weren't planning on sticking around long enough to do that. Fair enough. So we'd chase the warehouse for a couple of nights before the run. You know, did some recon, took some notes. From what we've seen, we were pretty sure that the Shuyan was keeping our payday in a vault at the very back of the building. Security is pretty heavy, though. He's paying a local triad for the protection, and he kept a lot of their boys in the staff. Sui was one of the ones that kept up with the. Sui was the one that came up with the plan. We'd split up outside, enter the warehouse in 2 teams. Team A would create a diversion. Team B would hit the vault while security was looking the other way. We'd grab our payday, regroup, and get the hell out of there. Seems straightforward enough, but how'd it work out? Surprisingly well. Up to a point. Team A, Honu and Egret, circled around the loading dock just like we planned. Sui and I waited at the service entrance. We didn't have to wait long, couple minutes in, and there was this ungodly crash. Then another. As it turns out, Egret had rigged into Shuyan's network of automated forklifts. She had 6 of them running amok in the loading dock, chasing down workers and crashing themselves into anything marked fragile. Sounds like a good time. I know, right? Dreamy smile spreads across her face. I wish I could have been there to see it. Igrit's distraction did what it was supposed to. As Sui and I watched, most of the triad guys at the service entrance abandoned their posts and went hauling off towards the loading dock. A couple guys with baseball bats stayed back, and we handled them easily enough. We slipped inside and made a beeline for the back of the warehouse where the shiny object was supposed to be. Let me guess. Something went wrong. No, actually, it was there. Just like we thought it'd be. The door was open and everything. Shiny object was sitting there on a tea cradle, gleaming and reflecting light just like the client said. It had a ring of Taoist talismans hanging off it like a grass skirt, and the paper roll crinkled with age. We didn't waste any time. We reached in and grabbed the thing. It felt strange to my gloves. The jade sort of pulsed as if it had a heartbeat. I'd have Sui carry it. The run was his idea, right? Yeah, well, it was my job to carry the thing. I don't want to complain about it. Anyway, I had my satchel with me, so I stashed the rock there. Couldn't get the flap closed quickly enough. Package being secure, Sui and I turned the hightail out of there, and then things went to shit. Did the shiny object do something unpredictable? No, not the shiny object. Old man Shuyan. He was standing there, right in front of us, larger than life. I'm guessing that he heard the commotion in the loading dock and come running, well, waddling, to make sure his treasure was safe. As it turns out, it wasn't, because I'd already stolen the thing. He looked displeased. What'd you do? What do you think we did? We had our backs to a wall. We lit the old bastard up. It was pretty epic, truth be told. Spirits we summoned, spells were discharged, the vault door sealed behind Shuyan like something out of a movie. At one point, the old man leapt into Sui's back and tried to bite his ear off. I wouldn't bore you with the play-by-play on how the fight went down. In the end, we crushed him. Unfortunately, the fighting had caused some collateral damage. At some point during our showdown with Shuyan, the control panel for the vault door must have eaten an arc of lightning or a blast from a power ball. It was toast, all blackened and melted. Neither of us could fix it. So you were trapped in the vault? Yeah, that's about the size of it. And it was only a matter of time before the old man's remaining security cards found us in there. There's only one way out, a ventilation duct, up high in the rafters, but it was too small for Sui to fit through. He was a troll after all. I had the shiny object, but if I left Sui there and security got to him, well, you do the math. So here's the conundrum. I've got our payday in my satchel, the team is split. It's inevitable that more Triad 49ers are going to find us, and we don't know when or how many. Igrit and Honu are holding their own in the loading dock for now. I can stay with Sui to help him fight off the inevitable wave of Triad 49ers, but we'll get badly outmatched, like, badly. The odds of survival won't look good for either of us. If Igrit weren't pinned down by the loading dock, she could probably have the vault door open, but in order to get to her, I'd have to leave Sui alone in the vault. If Shuyan's reinforcements find Sui before I get back with Igrit, well, she used her thumb to draw a line across her neck. So that's the scenario, Seattle. Not a lot to work with, I know. Now tell me, what should I do? So my options are to stick with Sui, hold off security, which is probably how you die. Try to use the amulet. Oh god. Take the gamble and go for Igrit. It's the plan that has the best chance of success. Or you've got the payday in your pouch. I did cut my losses and bailed. Alright, so we have 4 options. Be a hero and try to fight off the security. Probably die. That seems like a bad option. Complete Hail Mary. Try to use the goddamn magical object. Like, just try to blow your way through security or maybe blow your way through the door. Take the gamble and go for Igrit. Or bail. Bailing seems too evil. Sticking with Sui seems too stupid. So basically it's a toss-up between, do you risk trying to figure out how to use the magical artifact, or do you try to run for Igrit to see if you can take care of the situation that way? I think I'm gonna go with the dangerous object. Well, you've got a dangerous magical artifact in your pouch, right? I think I'd try to use it. She nods, unsmiling. That's the most stylish answer, isn't it? Just audacious enough to be fun. I popped it into my head right then and there, same as did yours. So that's what I did. No hesitation, I just made it happen. It was almost like Sui had been waiting for me to pass him the thing. He seemed eager to take it. He hugged the chunk of rock to his chest like a newborn baby. Color swam on the stone and something changed in his eyes. Then old man Shuyan's 49ers breached the door and Sui unleashed hell. She pauses, frowning, stops scratching Folly and used the hand to rub her eyes. Finally, she turns back to you. A sour look pinches her features. What went down in that room? Well, I've only seen that kind of carnage a couple times in my life, and I've been running in the shadows for years. Those Triad-men were torn to scraps by the end of it. Don't think I'll ever forget the sounds they made. She clears her throat. I spent most of the fight huddled up in the corner for my own safety. What Sui let loose from that stone didn't seem terribly interested in discriminating between friend and foe. What do you mean by that? Did he summon hostile spirits or something? Something like that? Truth be told, I don't know what they were. Like I said, I was hiding. But he could have done it without the shining object. Not in a million years. Whatever they were, the rock brought them here. So what happened then? We waited for things to calm down in the vault, and for the things to go slithering away. I think that Sui had some limited control over them, which is why they didn't eat us. After they were gone, Sui gave me the shiny object back. I put it in my satchel and we bailed. We clicked at the others on the way out. They were blissfully ignorant of what happened the other side of the warehouse, and I didn't see a reason to change that. We hightailed it back to the docks and caught the first boat back to the sinking ship. Mission accomplished. Gobbet looked away, stares off into space. From what I've told, people still avoid Shuyan's warehouse like the plague. It's supposed to be haunted, even to this day. People who set foot in the building keep turning up dead. Pretty sure I'm the only living person here who knows why. Abruptly, her body language changes. Anyway, that's it. Lesson's over. You got any questions, go ahead. Gobbet? What's the point of the story? I'm trying to find the moral here. There was when I started telling it. I thought I was going to tell you to be comfortable with breaking the rules. I don't think I'm going to say that now, though. I'm not feeling it anymore. Why not? At least your team made it out of the run alive. Yeah, they didn't stay that way for long. But let's leave that for next time, huh? I don't want to get into that just now. Can you tell me more about the sinking ship? Yeah, sure. Story's over, so we can get to it. I moved on to the sinking ship when I was just a kid. I think I was 12, maybe 6, and then maybe 13 years old at the time. At the beginning, just made me a couple of rat shaman friends, Cadmus and Malvina. They were older, but they were cool with me. Did your friends build the raft? No way. Cadmus probably could have, but he didn't. He and Malvina appropriated it from former owners. There was a team of Shadowrunners that lived in the thing before us, but they bid it on a job. Cad and Mal heard the knock of an opportunity, and they claimed the raft for rat in record time. Taking over the sinking ship wasn't an easy job, mind you. The previous owners had installed traps and automated defenses all over the raft. Cad had his handful for a couple of months. With those for a month. Sounds cozy, Gobbet, like a floating death trap. That actually isn't too far off. There were explosives, pop turrets, all that good stuff. Cad and his sister Yasmin took care of most of it without too much trouble, though. The biggest problems were those scuttling charges. The runners who built the raft had installed these explosives all over the perimeter that ripped the bottom out of the thing if they were ever seized by the police. The explosives were tricky to deal with. Cad was able to disarm them, but he had to leave them where they were. It was always just slightly uncomfortable knowing that I was sleeping on top of a couple hundred pounds of dormant explosives. Yeah, I can't blame you there. She shrugs. Hey, like I said, it was free. And that wasn't really... And there weren't really even any rules to follow, which suited me just fine. Malvina was sort of the leader of our little nest. But we never really listened to her. She was always trying to play the mom card, instill a sense of responsibility into us. It was cute. She did have a propensity for getting things done, though. I have to give her that. Anyway, after a few months, people started showing up. Squatters, homeless people, Shadowrunners, sort of crazies. As long as they stayed cool with us, we were cool with them. Eventually, it became a community. Imagine that. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, sure, I guess so. Let's take a break and come back to this later. Of course. Like I said, it's a long story. So what was that about? Is there anything else you want to talk about? That's all for Gobbet. That's all, thanks. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks all. That's all for now, Gobbet. Talk to you later. Kept wanting to say thank you for no good reason. Yeah, hey Seattle. Sorry this lesson wound up getting a little unfocused at the end. I'm not really sure what came over me. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Well, I still feel bad about it, still. So look, I'll make you a deal. Your next lesson will definitely be on point. And I'll tell you what it's about up front. No more questions and answer sessions. How about that? How's that sound? Fine by me, Gobbet. Catch you next time. Next time. Sounds like it might follow the usual rule of threes with stories in games, where that'll probably be the third and final story that we deal with for her. Alright, now let's actually pick up a contract. Hello, mission computer. It's been a while. Do I have pay data? Nope. Let's see. Shadowrun BBS. Keywords. So many things! So many things. Alright, LF tailor for special job. Searching for a tailor for some unusual custom work. I might know a guy. Is this for armor? Not exactly. It's a surprise birthday gift for a friend. A friend's drone, actually. What exactly do you want a tailor made for a drone? A cat costume with soft little ears and paws? Or better yet, a bear suit. Ooh, a red samurai outfit. I even have a reference for that I can provide. Okay, you got a fat stack of Nuyen? This is gonna cost. I'll find the Nuyen. Can you help me? This will so be worth it. Yeah, I'll hook you up. What a topic to come up. Okay. Can't get a flight to Seattle. Hey, I got a problem I'm hoping one of you can help me with. I came out of Fez 2 weeks ago for work. Now that the job's wrapped, I've been trying to get an under-the-table flight to Seattle for the past week. Off the books, no password control, that kind of thing. Nobody's making the trip. What gives? Check the news feeds, man. Haven't you heard? Seattle's in lockdown. Nothing going in or out of the city without a thorough search for at least another week. They caught some smugglers trying to move some really nasty stuff in through a covert landing in Discovery Park. That seems like a bit of an overreaction. Tons of awful stuff moves through Seattle every day. What's so different about it this time? Not like this. You didn't hear it from me, but I have some friends with ICE. They say whatever it was, it set off the radiological alarms of the East Coast Guard ship that was sweeping the area. We're talking fissionable material here, enriched and ready to go in a bomb. No way. I don't buy that for a second. More likely, some corps had an accident with one of their ships and dumped some radiological material. They don't want to admit it, so City Hall's covering their asses. Don't dismiss the news so lightly. The smugglers were carrying cargo for winter night. It's only pure luck the cargo was intercepted at all. Who the hell's Winter Night? It sounds like a goblin rock band. No, not who, what. All you need to know is this. Winter Night's bad news. You cross them, you destroy your life. You ever run into any of them on a job, I suggest a solution that comes with a 7.62 millimeter. Friendly bunch over there. Alright. New Pinoy HK. Hi there, just arrived in Hong Kong from CFS and want to meet other runners in the Philippines. Salamat po. Anyone? I make a really good pansi. Well, why don't you say that right away? Kumusta po kayo? Lots of former Huck families here. Welcome. Hi, Taga-san ka? Me from Manila. I'm a decker, you? QC here, I'm a decker too. Pansi is fine and good, but you also make dinuguan? PM me if you can. Kumusta? Nice to meet you, QC Blues. Hi there, Street Mage here. Might know some Pinoy runners looking for a new decker. Welcome, welcome. I wonder if any of those people were actually from that culture, or if they're just like, what? You can make food? Yeah, we're gonna be best friends, and I'm just gonna convince you through our universe's equivalent of Google Translate that I totally know what I'm talking about as part of your culture. I wouldn't be completely surprised. Oh geez. Want to trade eyes, we'll take anything. I acquired a huge supply of cutting-edge cybernetic eyes. My fencer did a runner, so I've got cybernetic up to my eyeballs, as it were. Make me an offer. They've got a whole 9 yards, 2010, vision camera, low light and thermographic modes, one size fits all, sold in pairs only, box set. Colors blue, brown, violet, hazel, green, green flecked with gold, chrome, and you've got to install them yourself. What? You gotta install eyes yourself into yourself? Ugh. Trade you a Ranger Arms SM3, comes with a matching briefcase. Deal, message me. Can I swap you my old cyber eyes for a new set? Seriously, anything but that. Can I buy 1 blue and 1 brown eye? No, but you can buy 2 pairs, sheesh. Trying to mix and match eyes. It's like mixing and matching shoes. Like someone out there probably wants to, but for the most part you're just screwing up 2 pairs. Uncle Say's House of Pork? If anybody else has a hankering to go to Uncle Say's House of Pork in Tai-O, I can only say one thing, for the love of all that's holy, don't. I haven't been able to leave my house in 2 days. The only reason I can even post here is because of the RAS override on my deck. What did you eat? Maybe you're just unlucky. All I have was some shumai and ribs. It's pretty basic, hard to mess up. Unlucky is when I get a bad orange in the market. This isn't unlucky. This is something else. This is some kind of vile gastrointestinal sorcery. Oh my god, I only ate there once. I still have nightmares. I feel like I'd eaten a wasp nest, if the wasps were made of rusty razors, and also on fire. I thought I was being clever by getting the pulled pork sandwich when I ate there. Nope. Aside from basically getting a pile of congealed sludge and the bread being moldy, it was a week before I could hold down anything more solid than congee. What are you, a bunch of children? Yeah, the kitchen's dirty, but I've eaten dozens there dozens of times. And not once have I gotten sick. Grew up and learned to eat adult food. Wait a second, aren't you the person who was raving about the food cart on the corner of Kimberly and Observatory? You told me to get the yuzu glazed horse tripe. Yeah, how'd you like it? Pretty good, huh? If by good you mean the consistency of tar and old tires, yes. The tripe must have been a week or more old, and I'm pretty sure I smelled rot in once the initial citrus blast wore off. Take note, this user's advice on food is not to be trusted. Oh god, reading that actually made me want to push past the RAS override. Now my deck is covered in vomit. Thanks guys, I mean it. Nothing I love more than being sick and disgusting. What a bunch of friendly people that are in good moods because everything's going great for them. You might have noticed I'm just going full bore into the reading documents in this episode. I've come to the complete conclusion. Probably not reaching a mission in this episode, so might as well make some progress through all this stuff since it's such a backlog here. Update on Saifun Yusagi. Infrared images of the Storm Ida Wall transition are really quite stunning, by the way. Typhoon Yasagi has stalled on the southern China Sea and is now weakening. After passing north of the Philippines, strong wind and periodic, very heavy rains will continue as Yusagi's arms sweep across the region. For the moment, Yusagi is resisting the wind, which is causing it to lose strength. Prevailing winds will probably ultimately drive Yusagi ashore west of Macau, as it struggles to remain over water. According to Dr. Lance Inroki of the Imperial Japanese Meteorological Academy, even the most awakened storms have difficulty delaying their landfall for more than a week once they are in South China Sea. Yusagi is still full-strength typhoon when it makes will still be a full-strength typhoon when it makes landfall, but its delay fortunately gives people in the storm path more time to prepare. They keep building up the storm. The way they keep talking about the storm makes me think that there's this is part of the climax of the game. I think the final conflicts and storylines in the final missions are probably going to involve this typhoon hitting landfall and us doing a mission either under the cover of or dealing with the resistance of some kind of crazy storm. Look, babe, I just made this cartoonified typhoon for you. It's got a little purse that sparkles, and bubble tea, and 8 arms, and assorted weapons, and a necklace of skulls and everything. You're the best. The J-pop theme on the ammunition belts really takes it over the top, Anita. You are a special person. Alright, that's enough for now, I think. Alright, I've been recording for hours at this point. I need a break. My voice is starting to actually kind of hurt. So, thanks for watching, guys, like always. There probably weren't transitions the last few episodes because I was kind of just recording for a long time, and I'll figure out how to make it into episodes later. Next time, we're going to pick up another mission, and that'll probably be the entire next episode. So thanks for watching, guys, like always. I will see you next time. Looks like we're coming closer and closer to the conclusion.